Penguin Random House Audio presents The Mystery of Marriage, Meditations on the Miracle, 20th Anniversary Edition, by Mike Mason, forward by J.I. Packer, read for you by Simon Vance. For who else? Karen. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Proverbs 31:29. Forward. If any recently married student of mine at Regent College who wanted to be a writer had consulted me about making marriage the theme of his first book, I should have told him as pontifically as I could that however natural the thought in light of his own present condition, it was a no-no, and he must put it out of his mind. I should have explained that marriage, being the most delicate and demanding of human relationships, as well as potentially the most delightful, is a terribly difficult topic on which to write wisely and well. I should have pointed out that the Christian world is already full of bad books on marriage, books written, it seems, by extrovert Pharisees for readers like themselves who want to reduce life to routines of role-play, and that he could hardly hope to escape the influence of these well-meant but dreadful models. I should have observed that it takes married folk years and years to get their togetherness into perspective, and that young authors rarely write with any depth about relationships anyway, and so on and so forth. I should have discouraged him every way I could, and been sure that thereby I was doing him a service. Fortunately for the world, and for me as well, as it now turns out, Mike Mason, having sat thoughtfully through some classes of mine, did not consult me about what he planned to do, but went right ahead and did it, with the result that is now before you, this outstanding achievement, of which I would have deprived you if Mike had asked and taken my advice. For better, for worse. I may appropriately borrow that phrase, I think. I write a lot of forwards these days. Packer's nihil obstat is prized by some. Rarely, however, has a new book roused in me so much enthusiasm as has the combination of wisdom, depth, dignity, and glow. I don't know what else to call it, that I find in these chapters. To introduce them is not a chore, but an excitement. Christians, read them, but slowly. Their tone quality, resonating as it does off the Bible as its sounding board, is richer than we are used to. Couples, read them together. Your awe and joy at what you have got into will be mightily fed. Multnomah Publishers, commission some more books from Mike Mason. For this one is a crackerjack. And readers, please excuse my own slight giddiness. Mike's pages have just made me aware again that I, too, am a man in love. For the freshness and force with which he spells out the magnificence of marriage in God's plan, I am deeply grateful, and I predict that the same will soon be true of many more. James Packer. Preface. There are many ways of measuring the success of a book. I measure the success of this one by the friends it has given me. From the beginning, it is a book that has made friends. One of my favourites is Laurie Hill's of Manistee, Michigan. About a year after The Mystery of Marriage appeared, she wrote to say that she was driving around the country teaching at various seminars, and wherever she went, she kept a box of my books in her car, and was handing them out left and right. By that point, my book had received some fine reviews, and my publisher was most enthusiastic. But the day I heard from Laurie Hill's, I knew I had written a good book. Over the years, many other friends have written letters, or phoned, or appeared in the most unexpected settings to tell me how much this book has meant to them. Many people have read it 2 or 3 times. Many have bought 1 copy and given away 6. Most heartwarming of all are those countless couples who tell me they have read the book aloud to each other. This still amazes and delights me whenever I hear it. It's one thing for parents to read aloud to children, but when adults take time to read aloud to each other, it seems to me some fantastic good must be afoot in the world. I'll bet the angels gather to listen, and I think the earth must shift a little on its axis. People like those mentioned above have taught me that, as I write the words of this new preface, I'm not writing to a blank page, but to a great gathered company of my friends. This thought is like a warm fire that illumines the four walls of my study. It has brought tremendous life to my writing. For friends, when all is said and done, are what a writer wants. Writing can be a lonely life. Certainly it is a solitary one, or has been for me. It's not just the writing itself that must be done all alone in a room. It means a relatively solitary lifestyle, too. I don't know any way of writing well without spending a good deal of time reading, thinking, and praying. Especially praying. In fact, the recipe for me has always been about 3 hours of prayer for every hour of writing. That's a lot of time spent alone in the closet. How I thank God, then, that from the start He has given me a loving wife to be my best friend of all. She is, as the poem at the end of the book suggests, my monastery. For having set out in the Christian life to become a monk, I found myself instead falling in love with a woman. At first I worried intensely that I'd made a huge mistake, fallen prey to a terrible temptation, but what a surprise it was to discover over the years that as a married man, and a father too, I had become more and more a true monk than I ever could have been within the walls of a monastery. How is this? It's because love, true love, sets people free to be whoever they are. Many times I have told Karen that she is the best wife in the world, and I really believe it. Also, that she is the most beautiful and wonderful of all women, and I believe that, too. She is like Eve to me, the only woman on earth. Of course, she is a sinner, as I am. But when, like God, we choose to look past this in each other, we enter the paradise of love. When I wrote The Mystery of Marriage, I was entering into paradise, and knew it. It was the 2nd year of our marriage. We'd worked out a few of the kinks. We were living in a beautiful summer house among the mountains in Hope, British Columbia. It was winter, and the uninsulated house was cold. We slept beneath piles of blankets, and in my study I had no less than 3 heaters, a propane room heater, a portable electric, and a heating pad for my feet. As I typed, I looked out on a view of mountains and the rushing Coquihalla River. Except for right now, I have never been happier in my life. What I did that winter was to take the journals I had kept during the period of our engagement and turn them into a book on marriage. It was pretty simple. The real writing had already been done. I was just editing. Many people are surprised at this, surprised that the material for an insightful marriage book was mainly composed prior to marriage. But it's true. During that rhapsodic, tumultuous year of betrothal, I wrote down everything, all the thoughts that were coming to me about love, both the pains and the joys. If there's anything of truth in this book, it's because the writer was, and is, head over heels in love. For the wisest of all people is the one who's in love. Isn't that right? But there's another secret to this book, which is that during that year of pre-marriage, I also happened to be a new Christian. In fact, I was writing about my love affair with Jesus. I was writing my prayer life. My love for God got all mixed up with my love for Karen. It began to seem all the same to me, which indeed it is. Love is love. If we truly have the love of God, we will find that it spills over to everyone around us. First to those closest to us, then out and out like ripples in a pond. We will find that marriage is a perfect metaphor for the love of God, and that the same is true of parenting, friendship, the church, nature, or anything else in life. This is the way God planned it, that everything in our lives should perfectly reflect His love, so that His glory covers the earth. Everything we experience is a door into paradise. The only trouble is, many of us are going through the door the wrong way, exiting instead of entering. These are tough times for marriage. Statistics on divorce, to say nothing of abuses within marriage, are higher than ever. But I feel the opposite is also true. As the kingdom of darkness advances, the kingdom of light advances even more. More than ever before in history, Couples who submit wholeheartedly in marriage, both to God and to one another, stand on the threshold of paradise, of pure bliss. I believe this is a gift.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?